Welcome back to Beyond the Doll Room. Today I'm going to give a makeover to two of the dolls from my previous videos. So grab your drinks and any snacks, sit back, relax, and let's begin today's video. So I have this 90s or maybe 80s Petra doll. She was a fashion doll, I believe, from Germany. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And then we have this Cindy Hasbro. She's from the late 80s. And they are a little dirty. Petra has a chew on her foot, which I can't do anything about. But that's completely fine. So I'm going to give them a scrub, wash their hair, and then I'm going to dress them in some green themed outfits for mental health awareness. So I made my Twyla doll this black and green skirt for mental health awareness, and if you didn't already know, Twyla is a Monster High character and she happens to have autism. Now, if you don't already know, autism is a neurological condition. You know, it can affect many different things for a person who has autism. I think Twyla has a lot of noise sensitivity is her main issue. Now, autistic people can have processing issues. It can take them a lot longer to understand or process information. They can have, sensitivity to light, sound, touch as well, smells, and they can easily get overwhelmed. For me personally, processing is an issue, especially with thoughts and things, if that makes sense. I do cut a lot out of my videos. There's pauses, and when I say pauses, I don't mean just like a little pause. They can be quite long pauses. In the past, I used to cut out a lot in my videos, but now I've started to leave some things in, as well as words as well. I fumble a lot. I know a lot of people fumble the words, but when I say things don't come out right, if that makes sense, and I'd have to edit that out. Obviously in real life I can't do that, so I've started to leave things in because it's more authentic, and if you did meet me in real life, you'd be like, huh? Like, what's going on? So I try to be more me, if that makes sense. And hopefully that will encourage others as well. I also find it really hard if things change or a routine gets messed up. Some autistic people have trouble with that. Not every autistic person is the same, of course. So they'll all have different, needs and, issues, just like everyone else. And the reason why I'm bringing up autism in this video is because If you have a neurological condition, it affects your mental health, of course, and especially undiagnosed or people who haven't had the right support can develop, anxiety, depression, other conditions, surrounding mental health. So it just makes it that much more difficult and, worse throughout life. So it's important to speak up about mental health and, donate to those charities to help support these people if you can, of course. As I said, not every autistic person is the same. Some could be really social, others a lot less. Me personally, I'm a lot less sociable, um, especially with people I don't know. I have trouble with new people, if that makes sense. Um, I get a lot of anxiety and overwhelmed by big crowds and busy environments. And that feeds into why I developed agoraphobia as well. So I can't speak, sorry. I am going to include a link to a charity for agoraphobia and anxiety support as well, because I feel that's worth mentioning. Like I said, processing is an issue with autism, especially in, loud, busy environments, because of that heightened sensitivity to noise. So it can affect the processing of the brain. Things can become very overwhelming very quickly, and it's very hard to function in those situations. I'm speaking from experience as well, obviously. And this can cause, autistic shutdowns or meltdowns. I don't like to use the word meltdowns, to be honest, because it's too much like related to, a child not getting what they want, having a meltdown. So I don't really like to use that word. Obviously, the individual, it's up to them if they want to use the word, but I just personally don't. I just normally say, overwhelmed is what I'd use, to be honest. That's just me personally, though. Going back to the mental health side of it, obviously with autism, it can be heightened through anxiety and stress, and it can lead to autistic burnout, which is kind of similar to burnout. Regular burnout would be too much responsibilities, stress, management, which is kind of similar to autistic burnout. However, autistic burnout could be a lot of little things, and obviously from being overstimulated, overwhelmed with the social pressures and sensory overload as well. Also, I'd like to add obviously masking as well. Obviously everyone masks to a certain extent, but some autistic individuals who are able to mask, it'll take a lot of mental, brain power and focus to do that, which can end up leading to burnout because they're not able to stim or be themselves, if that makes sense. I'd like to quickly touch on stimming as well, because, everyone stims to an extent, for soothing. You might tap your leg or hum maybe to, regulate stress and emotions. However, with autistic people, it can be a lot more intense. So it can be, intense rocking, pinching, biting, pulling hair. Obviously, there's safer ways to stim, using toys and things like that. Obviously, hand flapping and repetitive movements, sounds, making just like humming as well, but sometimes it could be words as well. There's also echolalia, which is when you repeat, words or phrases to help process information, self-soothe, regulate emotions, communicate when you're overwhelmed. And these are normally traits with autistic and ADHD individuals. It could sound like if someone's speaking and then you immediately repeat what they say, so that could be, immediate echolalia, repeating phrases from shows, songs, things like that. So it's obviously when your brain is trying to process information or self-soothe. I do it a lot, and I know others who do too. You know, it's a safe way of processing information, like I said, and if you're feeling overwhelmed. And with autistic stimming, it's hard to control it. So obviously with regular stimming, like humming or, you know, moving your leg, you can stop basically. But with autistic stimming, it can become more, you know, repetitive, and it could become dangerous, you know, if they're harming themselves as well. So safer stimming techniques like toys and, you know, to keep the mind occupied is better for the individual. Now I will link some charities, like I said, and you can find out more about autism or other neurological conditions. But it doesn't matter if you are autistic or not, you can use fidget toys to soothe yourself. I myself have to go into like a dark room if I have sensory overload. I have like a face mask, you know, eye mask that I can put on, turn the lights off. Noise cancelling headphones help me as well. This can help anyone, like I said though, but it's something that helps me. Maybe it could help you if, you know, you're stressed or anxious. Also, another good tip is having a sensory box or like a panic box, if that makes sense. Or if things are getting too much, you can just go and grab the things from that box. Like I said, like an eye mask, maybe some sensory toys, headphones. It could be anything that could soothe you. It could be a little soft toy or a stress toy. It could be anything, to be honest. But that's something that could help in those moments of panic or stress. If you'd like to add anything to what I've said in the comments below, feel free to speak about it in your own video as well. Like I said, everyone lives different experiences, and I could say so much more, but I want to make the main focus on the charities and spreading awareness rather than, you know, my own personal experiences, if that makes sense. So I'll add some charities. I'm going to add 2 from America and 2 from the UK because they're my primarily, yes, they're my regular viewers, basically, the main ones. So if you're anywhere in the world and you'd like to add some charities in your, you know, locations, then feel free to as well, because obviously the more help around the world, the better. And if you can donate to any charities, that's fine. If you can't, that's completely fine as well. If you can take part in the hashtag, please do. If you cannot, that's completely fine. I know some people who aren't very well or busy, but please, if you do have time, go and check out everyone else's video who's taking part. Show your support. You don't even need to make a video. You could post in your community tab as well. Just a photo or some links to charities, whatever you feel is necessary. And as always, stay creative, stay spooky. Well, there's some spooky things here too, and obviously Skelly Bob. And most importantly, stay true to yourself, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!